Hey, what's happening everyone? This is Yamimesh, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. This is the Cosmo Archetype right here. They are currently tier 1 in competitive play. They recently won the YCS and have been topping tons of events around the world. It's going to be interesting to see how the Pendulums do in the next couple of months with the release of Magicians and stuff. But right now, Cosmos are king. Cosmos are the deck to beat. This is a pretty solid build of the deck, and I think if you guys replicate a similar build to this, you'll find a lot of success in competitive play. In this video, I will explain to you guys some of my card choices, how the deck works, and some of the combos you can do. I recently topped a WCQ qualifier last week, and so I'll be going to the WCQ main event next year, which is really nice. So starting off, guys, we have 3 Cosmo Dark Destroyers. Cosmo Dark Destroyers are a very strong card. They have 3,000 attack points. They cannot be targeted, which is very good, because a lot of cards target right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! When it's summoned, you can destroy any monster on the field, which is either your opponent's monsters or your own, and sometimes you do actually want to destroy your own monsters. You're probably thinking, why the hell would I destroy my own monsters? Well, the Forerunners, the Slip Riders, and the Dark Destroyers all have search effects to the field when they're destroyed. So you can do some potential combos with like Farmgirl and OTK your opponent. But yeah, Cosmo Dark Destroyer is just a really hard card to get over right now, because more or less it has 3,000 attack points and also because it can't be targeted. Your opponents are going to usually use up a lot of resources to get through this, and when they do, your advantage is going to usually be pretty insane, and you just can win through having this card out. Next up, we have 3 Cosmo Farmgirls. If you can deal damage with a Cosmo Farmgirl, that +1 you get can either turn into insane advantage or into an OTK. If you don't know what Cosmo Farmgirl does, when it deals damage, you pay 500 life points and you can add any Cosmo card from your deck to your hand. That could be a Cosmo Town, which is the best field spell in the game right now, or it could be a Dark Destroyer. And then you can banish the Cosmo Farmgirl from the field and special summon a 4-star or higher Cosmo card from your deck. So you search out the Dark Destroyer, then you banish it and special summon the Dark Destroyer. It's really, really dumb. I really like Cosmo Farmgirl, and it would be stupid to run any less than 3. Next up, we have 3 Cosmo Forerunner. Like the Dark Destroyer, this card cannot be targeted. In the standby phases, you gain 1,000 life points. It has 2,800 attack points too. Cosmo Forerunner is a really strong card. Before Dark Destroyer was released, Cosmo Forerunner was the big bad boy. I see a lot of Cosmo decks nowadays running like 2, and I think it's quite stupid, especially in the Reasoning build. You definitely want to run 3 in the Reasoning build. Next up, we have 3 Cosmo Slip Riders. When this guy's summoned, you destroy a spell or trap on the field, which is usually a lot of the problematic cards right now, like the Iron Walls and the Emptiness. So if you can get out that Slip Rider, you can get through a lot of problems. There's also OTK potential in destroying your own Cosmo Town with this card, and it still has 2,300 attack points. It's a 5-star, you can make Pleiades, you can make a Volcasaurus. There's some cool stuff you can do with Slip Rider. Next up, we have 3 Cosmo Wicked Witch. I really like Cosmo Wicked Witch in 3 for 2 reasons. Firstly, I run Allure Darkness and I need the Darks, so I have the 3 Wicked Witch and the 3 Dark Destroyer as targets. Secondly, Wicked Witch is really good in the mirror match. It's hard to destroy and it slows down OTKs. You pay 1,000 life points, it can't be destroyed by Battle or Card Effect, and it has 1,900 attack points. It combos well with Emptiness, and there's been multiple games where I've exceeded the Wicked Witches. Because my opponent can't destroy them and they stay on the field, and I have 3 of them, as well as the Good Witch, I can make some really cool 4-star Xyz like Castal or Onazak and do some really cool plays. I run the 1 Good Witch. I don't like it in multiples. I think it can be dead sometimes. I think it's a good card. It's nice to have the Book of Moon effect where you pay 500 and flip a monster. It can shut down a lot of problems, but I think 1's good enough. I think the searches you can get with Farmgirl and stuff, you only need the 1 Good Witch. I think it's a really good card. At one point, guys, I did run a Dogfighter instead of one of the Slip Riders, so I had 2 Slip Rider, 1 Dogfighter. I didn't like it with the Reasoning build because I much prefer reasoning a Slip Rider to potentially kill my opponent than to get a Dogfighter, slow down, and then get tokens. Dogfighter is really good in the mirror match though, guys. I would say you should definitely test Dogfighter, because in the mirror match, when you do the whole ram into, when your machines all ram into each other and you keep getting searches off, getting Dogfighter into defense mode, they'll get Slip Rider out. It's like you gain just advantage through the tokens. And finally, guys, we have Strawman. I run Gold Sack, I run Alert, I run Escape from the Dark Dimension, and also having 2 targets of Emergency Teleport you can banish is very important. So Strawman is 100% needed in at least 1. I would not run 2. I don't like drawing it a lot of the time, but you have to run one. Strawman is a really strong card, and it's effective. Paying 500 and grabbing a banished Cosmo card can be really good. So guys, those are the monsters. I run 17 monsters. I don't run Honest. I don't run Ghost Ogre. You're probably thinking, why don't I run at least an Honest? I think running one Honest is completely fine, guys. However, I don't like getting Honest off with Reasoning. I like to get my my stronger targets off with Reasoning. I much prefer getting any Cosmo card off with Reasoning, because then the potential to banish and stuff is really important. So I just run 17 monsters. I'm going to go into the spells now. I run a lot of spells, by the way, guys. So starting off, we have 3 Cosmo Towns. Cosmo Town has 3 effects. The first effect is you shuffle Cosmo cards from your hand to your deck and then draw the same number of cards once per turn. So it's basically a mulligan every turn. The second effect is you can grab a banished Cosmo card and add it to your hand at the cost of the star level times 100. And because all the Cosmo cards banish, it's basically a +1 every turn. The final effect is when it's destroyed, add any Cosmo card from your deck to your hand. That includes another Cosmo Town. It's really hard to get rid of unless your opponent Castals it, which is really annoying when that happens. Cosmo Town, like I said, is like one of the most powerful cards in the game. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. It just has 3 insane effects. Next up, we have 3 Emergency Teleport, guys. This card is amazing because it's a quick play spell card. You can use it in the battle phase, which means they can't effect Veiler. This basically counts as a Farm Girl or a Strawman, depending on the situation. So Emergency Teleport can give you some really cool field presence, and you can potentially OTK your opponent, which is really nice. 3 Reasonings. Reasoning was not a thing a little while ago, but when Dark Destroyer was released, Reasoning became a thing. All the Cosmo cards have different star levels. You have 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, 7 stars, and 8 stars, and sometimes a 6 star with a Dogfire. So it's really hard for your opponent to guess the star level correctly, which means you get field presence, which means you can OTK or get some really good advantage. And in Cosmos, you definitely want field presence. 2 Galaxy Cyclone. I took out the Mystical Space Typhoons for Cyclones as soon as I put in the Reasonings. It's because you want to mill Cyclones so you can get 3+1s. Cyclone destroys a set spell or trap card on the field, and then when it's in the graveyard next turn, you banish it and destroy a face-up spell or trap on the field. This can potentially destroy 2 cards. I really like that. I did like MST because it was a quick play spell, and you can destroy your Cosmo Town in the battle phase and do some cool stuff, but I think Galaxy Cyclone with the Reasonings is a much more solid option. So those are all the multiples, guys. We're now going to go to the one-ofs. We have 1 limiter removal. I am shocked a lot of Cosmo players do not run limiter removal. I think this card is really, really good, okay, guys? Being able to OTK your opponent is just an insane option. Even if you don't OTK your opponent with this limiter removal, all your Cosmo cards are floaters. All the machines. So when they're destroyed at the end of the turn, you get all the search effects off. You can get your Slip Rise, destroy stuff. You can get a Forerunner. You know, it's a really good card to have. And you can get over big monsters your opponent has that. Let's say they have an Acid Golem out and you can't get over it. You go Forerunner, Slip Rider, you can limit to get over it. You know, it just gives you options. Allure of Darkness is a really good card. Being able to draw 2 and then banish a dark card and then getting back that dark card with Cosmo Town is a +1, and you get to go through your deck quicker. I don't really like the Upstart Goblins in the deck. I think Upstart Goblins isn't that good because you give your opponents 1,000 life points. I get that it effectively turns your deck into like a 37, 38 card deck, but my deck is very tight. I don't want to take out any cards, so I don't see any need to run Upstart Goblins, so I think Allure of Darkness does the job pretty well. Gold Sarcophagus is very strong because you can, like the Allure of Darkness, put a card out of play and then add it to your hand with Cosmo Town. Also, you can Strawman, so you go Gold Sarcophagus, banish your Dark Destroyer, and go Strawman and special summon it. You can get some really good advantage from plays like that. 1 Dark Hole and 1 Raigeki. I definitely like Monster Clear. So Dark Hole destroys all monsters on the field and Raigeki destroys all your opponent's monsters. That basically just makes way for your Farm Guild to hit a direct attack, which is definitely very nice. However, in the meta right now, especially in competitive play, a lot of decks, all their monster effects when they hit the graveyard usually get an effect. So these don't always go through as well as you want them to, but in certain situations where your opponent's exceeded in synchros and they have big monsters out, these, because they don't target, usually they can destroy cards like that, and it really can help out. And then I run 1 Terraforming. It's basically a 4th Cosmo Town, and running 4 Cosmo Town is definitely better than running 3 Cosmo Town. Sometimes you might top this and you have Cosmo Town out and that sucks, and sometimes it can clog. You can start a Cosmo Town and a Terraforming. It's not very nice. But the advantage of getting Cosmo Town out early greatly outweighs the cons of clogging sometimes. So that's 17 spells, guys. I think it's a good spell lineup. I think it's quite consistent. And I think there's nothing I would change really, except potentially I would put in an Offerings to the Doomed. Offerings to the Doomed is a really fast OTK type card because what you do, guys, is you go your Dark Destroyer, you attack them directly, you Offering to the Doomed your Dark Destroyer, destroying it, obviously, and you get Farmgirl, and then you attack them with Farmgirl, you grab another Dark Destroyer, banish the Farmgirl, attack them with Dark Destroyer. This has gone from 3,000 points of damage to 7,500 points of damage. Offering to the Doom can give you such fast OTK potential. It's actually a really strong card. And even when you don't OTK your opponent with the Offering to the Doomed, it destroys Wicked Witch because you chain this to the Wicked Witch effect and they pay 1,000 as cost and it dies. And also when your opponent tries to do things like Xyz or Synchros, this is set. You can flip it and destroy their material. So this can be a really good card in like non-OTK situations as well. And missing that draw phase isn't a big con because Cosmo Town effectively gives you a card every turn anyway. And then you can mulligan and draw different cards. So it's not a big deal. I'm going to test out the Cosmo deck with 2 or 3 of these and I'm going to let you guys know how it does. And then for the traps, everyone, we have one Solemn Warning. Top 2 trap in the game alongside Emptiness, in my opinion. Pay 2,000, negate a summon counter trap. It's really, really good because it can shut down your opponent pretty easily and then you can just whack them and kick their butt. Torrential Tribute, it clears the field. Because all you guys are floaters, this card usually isn't bad for you. And it's basically like a trap version of Dark Hole, more or less. I think Torrential's a really good card in Cosmos. Bottomless Trap Hole is very strong because a lot of cards get effects when they hit the graveyard and this banishes it, so they don't get their effects. Emptiness is stupidly strong in this build because I run 3 Wicked Witch, 3 Dark Destroyer, and 3 Forerunner. So it's really hard for your opponent to get through cards that can't be targeted and a card that can't be destroyed for the turn with an Emptiness. And then you can shut down your Emptiness by using a spell or something and then just going for the OTK. Escape from the Dark Dimension is my favourite tech, in my opinion. This is a Call of the Haunted for out-of-play Darks. This card is insanely good because if you go Allure of Darkness, your Dark Destroyer, and you set this, you can then just wait it out, chain it to a play, and then you have a big 3,000 monster on the field that when it's destroyed, you get to search anyway. Escape from the Dark Dimension is very strong in this build. And one Skill Drain, guys. Skill Drain is very good in Cosmos because all the Cosmos get effects when they're banished or in the graveyard, and Skill Drain does not affect monsters that happen when they're in the graveyard or banished. You're not going to get your Farmgirl's effects, you're not going to get your Destruction with your Dark Destroyer or your Destruction with your Slip Rider. It's not a big deal because Skill Drain will shut down any other deck archetype more or less, except like Burning Abyss and stuff because they have a lot of graveyard effects. But yeah, Skill Drain is just like really, really strong. So guys, that is my main deck lineup. It's a 40 card deck. I like 40 cards because it's more consistent. I would not run 60 cards because there's less chance of you drawing your Cosmos Towns and your Dark Destroyers. So I stick with 40 cards. I think it's very good. Next up, guys, we have the side deck. Side decks are used in competitive play because in a competitive tournament, it's a best of 3 match. After games 1, you can access your side deck, which is 15 cards, and you can use this side deck to give you an advantage against certain decks. So let's say, for example, you're playing against a deck that is very trap reliant. You then go to your side deck and you use a card that shuts down traps. For example, Royal Decree. And I'll explain to you now. So I've got 3 Cyber Dragon Cores here, guys. This card is insanely good in the mirror match and very good against like Despots and any machine type decks anyway. You use this card just for the sole reason of making Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. This card counts as a Cyber Dragon. I prefer this over regular Cyber Dragon because you don't have to tribute for this. And in Cosmos, the decks are floating. The decks are floating. Cosmos always have a field, and you don't want to have to tribute one of your cards for Cyber Dragon to make the Fortress Dragon. So you just want to just summon this anyway and make the Fortress Dragon. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, if you didn't know, is made out of Cyber Dragon and machines, and because they don't get destroyed and sent to the graveyard, all the Cosmos don't get their effects. So Fortress Dragon shuts down Cosmo decks really hard. 2 Ghost Ogres. Ghost Ogre is really good against pendulums. I hate it when my opponent goes Luster Pendulum, Plush Fire, and gets tons of advantage off of that. So I Ghost Ogre their Luster Pendulum, and it usually shuts them down or slows down the deck pretty hard. I think people really underestimate Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit right now. It's also a 3-star Psychic Tuner, so you can get out of Emergency Teleport, and that means in games 2 and 3 I can access my Synchro. And accessing my Synchro is pretty good because if they have like Iron Wall and stuff that shut me down, and I have the option to Ghost Ogre, I can make like Black Rose Dragon and stuff and destroy the field. 2 Maxis is a very good card against decks that special summon a lot. You discard this, and every time they special summon, yeah, every time special summon you draw a card. So Maxis is really good against specific decks. For example, those Synchron decks, those fast Synchron decks, they're really annoying to play against because they just keep special summoning. So it's good to have Maxi. 2 Mystical Space Typhoon. I side these in because of Iron Wall. I really hate Iron Wall a lot. This is better than Cyclone usually in games 2 and 3 because when Iron Wall's face up, you can't Cyclone it unless you wait a turn. So this is just a fast destruction. And also there's OTK potential with Mystical Space Typhoon on your Cosmo Town. 1 Monarch Stormforth, that's good in the mirror match because you can tribute their big machines and they don't get their effects. 3 Fairy Winds. In my opinion, Fairy Wind is like MVP. This destroys all face-up spells and traps and deals 300 points of damage. So firstly, it softens up your opponent for an OTK. Secondly, this will destroy the Iron Walls, and this will destroy Pendulum decks. I really don't like Pendulum decks, so Fairy Wind screws them over. And I prefer this over Wavering Eyes. Finally, we have 2 Royal Decrees. This is for Satellarknights and Burning Abyss, and any deck that's heavy trap reliant, which I will notice when I'm playing against them, I'll put these in. I'm probably going to take these out for like Anti-Spell Fragrance, because when the Monarchs are released, when the Magicians are released, there's going to be more Pendulum decks around, and I want to be able to combat those more effectively. Finally, guys, we have the extra deck. The extra deck's used because everyone uses an extra deck. Here we have Abyss Dweller. This card is really good because you can detach, they can't get graveyard effects, you destroy their field and they don't get any graveyard effects. It's really, really good. Kastal, this card won me a game in the WCQ. The guy had 2 3000 attack Beelzebub monster synchro guys. They can't be destroyed when they're face up on the field. So I Kastal'd, detached 2, flipped them both down, Regeki. He couldn't do anything, it's really good. Onozark, my opponent had a Kastal and a Dark Eyes Rebellion XYZ Dragon. Onozark sucked up his Dark Eyes Rebellion, attacked over Kastal. I then have this on the field with 1 attachment. It's really hard to get over. Cowboy, this card wins you games. You can deal 800 points of damage, which can win you games, like I said. This is really good for when you go to time and you want to have the most life points. So yeah, Kastal's Giga Cowboy is a very strong card. Livia's Sea Dragon, it's good to have a 3-star XYZ because we have Farm Girls and potentially Ogres and stuff as well. I'm thinking again an Acid Golem in here because I run Skill Drain and it's good to have a 3000 beat stick for OTK, but I don't actually own an Acid Golem, so I'm sad. Volcasaurus and Pleiades are the 5 stars, so you make these out of Slip Riders. They're both good in different situations. This bounces a card to the hand and this destroys and deals damage. So it's specific on the situation when you get either of those out. And I need to get the Gaia, the Dragon Champion guy, the XYZ guy, the 6-star, to put over Volcasaurus, but I don't own him either. Sad times. Oh, and a Heartland Draco. My opponent had a Dark Destroyer on the field. I couldn't kill it, but I could kill him. He was less than 2,000 life points. I was stalling with Wicked Witch. I drew either a Good Witch or another Wicked Witch. Exceeded into this, attacking the game. It's really nice. And because you run Cosmos Towns, then they can't target it. Trishula. So these are synchros now, guys. This is for games 2 and 3 when we put in the Ghost Ogre. Trishula's actually really easy to make. You can go like Strawman, grab like a Wicked Witch back, and then emergency teleport your Ghost Ogre and make Trishula. And Trishula's a really good staple in basically any extra deck. Fairy Dragon, it's really good because of Cosmo Towns and you can get some cool searches off and do some really cool combos. Mikhail's really good. Well, Michael, I think it's Michael, not Mikhail. You banish a card. I think you discard a card, banish a card. Crimson Blader, if you can get that Crimson Blader effect off by destroying and they can't special summon a 5-star or higher, it can really shut down a deck, especially the mirror match. Black Rose Dragon, Ghost Rare, it's like all 3D, it looks really nice. Black Rose Dragon is just a field clear. You can make it out of Ghost Ogre and any 4-star Cosmo card. It's really good to have a Black Rose. And finally, a Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This is one of my favourite cards from the new set, Dimensions of Chaos. It destroys all special summoned effect monsters with less attack than it, which is really, really good in a lot of situations. So guys, that is my extra deck. I'm missing Chimeratech Fortress Dragon because I don't actually own one, but as soon as I get 1 or 2, they will be in there. So for now, just pretend there's a Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. We'll pretend this offering to the Dooms a Chimeratech, okay guys? So guys, that is my Cosmo deck. I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. I hope I explained the cards well enough for you and you understood what I was explaining. If you guys can replicate a similar build to this, I think you'll find a lot of competitive success. I'm going to another WCQ on Saturday, and I'm hoping to place very high in that as well. Hopefully I can win some of the regional deck boxes, which are really nice. So guys, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh videos, I have a Yu-Gi-Oh channel, links in the description. I also run tournaments across the United Kingdom. I'm running a Minerva tournament next week, so check the Facebook link in the description for that event details. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what Yu-Gi-Oh decks you guys run, if you have any Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and if you want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh in general, just leave any comments below and I'll read through and stuff. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye everyone.